Hello and welcome back to episode 122 of Talkoffamepod podcast with their host Kylie and I'm super excited to welcome Kylie Erica Marr to the podcast. She's a host and producer and has interviewed some big stars like Tom Hanks, Will Smith, Harrison Ford, Jim Carrey, Bradley Cooper, and Matt Damon. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast, Kylie. I'm super excited to speak with you.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. So at just 4 years old, you have started your career in the show business. What did you see or do that basically inspired your career to be in this field?
Okay, so actually when I was about maybe like after 3 years old, before I even turned 4, I don't remember this. I do remember always wanting to be in front of the camera and being really fascinated by the women that I saw in magazines and on TV. And my mom told me that one day I walked up to her and I just said, "Mom, I want to see myself in magazines and on TV." And she said, "Okay, Kylie, that's great, but it's not that easy." And at the time, the internet didn't exist. You couldn't just easily Google talent agents and managers. So she had to go into what we call the yellow pages and find a manager. I actually ended up getting an acting manager. His name was Cleveland O'Neill. And he helped me then get agents for all the different departments, whether it was theatrical, TV, print, voiceover. And I ended up getting an agent for each one and then going on auditions. Basically, by the time I was 4, then I had started going on auditions almost every day, multiple times throughout the week. And that's how I started my career.
That's amazing. Like you were on ER and some other shows, right?
Yeah.
That's amazing. And like as we talk about acting and stuff, you got to co-star in television series for Parenthood, in which you received a Young Artist nomination. Like what was it like for you to like work on the Parenthood?
Well, so back in the day, in that time, I was doing a lot of guest star roles on shows, on Warner Brothers shows like Parenthood, ER, like that you mentioned, Seventh Heaven, Wayans Brothers. And I was so young, so I don't remember every single detail of working on those shows. I do remember just having so much fun because I was such a young kid at the time. It was fun for us because you go on set, there's craft services, so you have fun snacks all day. Then you go into the costume department and you get dressed up, you get a really cool outfit. And then while you're on set, especially as a kid actor, you're just treated so well. Everyone is always like, "Oh, you're so cute," and they're so nice. And it didn't ever feel, there was never anything bad about it. I loved it so much, which is why I had continued doing it for so long. But I just remember always having so much fun and then being excited to make money that I could use to spend on toys and stuff.
Like, do you have like a favorite moment from being on set over the years?
I will say, from if you're asking about in that time when I was acting, one of the moments that always stand out to me was on Wayans Brothers with Marlon Wayans. It was him and his brother. I know they have like 8 Wayans brothers, but Marlon, and I can't remember the other actor's name. But Marlon specifically, while we were on set, I want to say I was like 7 years old, maybe. He had me like on his back, like piggyback riding, and was just like playing with me on set because it was me and a bunch of kids, but I was kind of like the kid who had the line. So I had like kind of a bigger role. And then cut to over a decade later, I'm interviewing Marlon Wayans now as like a TV host, movie reporter. And I told him, I was like, "Do you remember that like Rodney versus Godzilla episode?" He's like, "Oh my God, yes, I remember that specific episode," even though there were like hundreds of episodes. And I'm like, "Yeah, I was that little girl that you were like playing with all day." And he totally remembered me
Oh my God.
like however many years later. So that was a really fun moment to think about.
That's amazing. And as like you said, you are like a TV host. You've been doing that besides after you're done with acting, and you have traveled all around the world to cover more junkets and premieres for films such as Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. These names are hard to say for some reason. Letters to Julia in Verona, Italy, and Turbo in Barcelona, Spain. While covering these different premieres for films, like what is your favorite part out of it? Like all the events.
I wish we were still doing big movie junkets like that, but due to COVID, I've only done one. It was recently in London for Avatar: The Way of Water, and that was the
Mhm.
first big travel junket we've done since COVID. But prior to that, yes, I was traveling all around the world, usually like once a month. It was so fun, such great opportunities. And the best part about them, on top of being able to screen the movie early and interview all these big actors and directors who you love so much, it was always fun because the studios would allow us to do fun activities. Like, for example, in Rio de Janeiro, they had us like hang glide over Rio de Janeiro. And as part of like the movie Rio, because it's about these animated birds. And so
Mhm.
that's like a fun experience. Or going to like Scotland and learning how to do archery and falconry, or going to Verona for Letters to Juliet, where I got to go to Italy for the first time. So the coolest part, on top of meeting these actors, is being able to travel all around the world and do these really awesome once in a lifetime opportunities.
Mhm, like, what is, like, your favorite place that you traveled while being a TV host? And, like, you say you traveled all over the world,
Mhm.
you've been to amazing places, like, what is, like, your favorite trip that you took on for work?
Scotland. So the one that I just mentioned, I
Mhm.
went there for Disney Pixar's Brave. I actually went there twice. So I went there for the first time for the theatrical release, and then for the DVD release, Disney had us go back to Scotland. So we went to Edinburgh, Scotland, and that's where I learned how to do archery and discovered that I was low-key good at archery, and I loved it so much. So now it's one of my hobbies. But I also got to just immerse myself in the culture of Scotland. It's so masculine, but also beautiful. The architecture is beautiful out there. So I do love Scotland so much. And I just realized that I hadn't been there. It had been like 11 years since I had been there. So I'm dying to go back.
Mhm, like, is archery, like, the main thing for, Scotland or one of the main things?
One of the main, yeah, like a big sport in Scotland would be archery. They're mostly known for whiskey, and then also falconry, which is like having the falcons and like
Mhm,
releasing them and having them come back and land on your arm.
mhm.
What else did we do? There were a couple other activities, but I think archery is like a big sport out there. But I think specifically we did it just because in the movie Brave,
Mhm.
Merida, the character,
Yeah.
is like a really good archer.
Yeah, and, like you said, like, do you still do archery a lot? Like, since then, like, you said, like, you one of your passions is archery, like, do you still kinda
Yes.
do archery?
So I actually ended up coming back from Scotland and really loving it. I found an archery range near me and was going, prior to COVID, I was going almost every weekend to go just practice. I actually haven't been able to since COVID because they shut down for so long. I don't think the range opened up until maybe like end of 2021. So I haven't been since, but you just reminded me that I need to.
And so, like, alongside, like, doing premieres, like, you have interviewed some big stars like Tom Hanks, Will Smith, Harrison Ford, Jim Carrey, Bradley Cooper, Matt Damon, so much more to name a few. Like, how do you usually feel when you get to interview, like, a big star like Tom Hanks? Like,
I
besides
still get really nervous. Yeah, I still will get butterflies in the beginning. If it's someone really big like that, and especially if it's someone who I haven't interviewed yet, even though I've been doing this for so long, I still will kind of get those like nerves, those butterflies in my stomach of just like making sure that I don't mess up. I'm fully prepared. And yeah, it is a little nerve-wracking just because it's a little intimidating when you're sitting 4 or 5 feet across from an A-list actor like Leonardo DiCaprio.
Mhm.
But it's always such a good experience, an amazing opportunity. I'm always so grateful.
Mhm, like, do you know, like, you're interviewing them prior, or you just interview them, like, at the time like, they just come up to you? Because I know, like, that's a
No. We
question I
know.
kinda been
Yeah,
thinking over the last couple of years. I'm like, do they know or do they not know?
No. We know. So it's like it's all planned out. The movie studio will reach out to all the reporters, invite them to the movie premiere or the junket. And so I know usually like at least a few days prior, because I have to go see the movie first. So we'll go to a movie theater, we'll screen the film, and then usually the next day or like 2 days later, all of the reporters will meet together for the press junket, and that's when we kind of rotate through the different rooms of actors and filmmakers to interview
Mhm.
them.
It's amazing. Like, do you have a favorite interview that you done, like, A-lister?
With Ellen DeGeneres, I spoke whale with her for Finding Dory, which was
Mhm.
pretty epic. I also loved interviewing the cast of Star Wars: The Force Awakens, because that was a moment for me where I was like, I never thought that I would be covering a Star Wars movie, like when they
Mhm.
actually came out with that seventh film. So that was a huge point in my career. But I will say, the one person who always, without fail, always is a great interview. I've probably interviewed him like 5, 6 times, and he's always so great, is Hugh Jackman. And like, reporters will all agree he's our favorite. He is so nice. He's so charming, so friendly and warm. Like, he will get out of his chair and like walk towards you to shake your hand and welcome you into the room. Whereas like some actors will just like most of them just wait for you to like sit down in front of them. But he's just very personable. Every single time that I interview him, he makes it feel like he's hearing the question for the first time, even though he's probably heard the question like 50 times already that day.
Like, that's amazing, like you said that. Like, I met him a million times last year and this year, and he is literally the sweetest person like
Isn't
I
he so
ever
great?
met in my life. Like, he is
I
amazing.
know.
Like, to see like an A-lister so nice. Like, there's
Hmm.
not a lot of celebrities like that. Like, every time I would ask him a question, he probably has heard a million times already. Like, he'll be so serious and he'll deeply listen to what you're saying. Like, he'll be so interested. And
Yeah.
he is like, he literally treats you like you're his friend. Like, he literally
Right.
treats you like his
I'm
friend. Yeah.
so glad that you actually have met him. So you totally understand what I'm saying,
Mhm.
right? It feels like, yes, he is so warm and he's so personable. And you're right. Some celebrities, they do turn it on for you. Like, obviously, like, they're not gonna be really mean, but you can just tell that Hugh Jackman is genuinely a really great person.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. Like, every time, like, like, the Music Man just ended, he was on the Music Man on Broadway. Like, and before and after the show, he'll literally come out and say hi to every fan that's outside. And be like, "Thank you
Yeah.
so much for coming." Like, he is like the only person at a cast and crew, like the main kind of people that will come out and greet fans and before and stuff to talk to people. Like, that really
Yeah.
like shows about his character. Be like, he really cares and really is grateful for the people that are showing up and supportive of him.
Yeah. I love that.
And so, like, last year, like, you were like not like honored something last year, right?
Yes. So last year with the Critics' Choice Association, so Critics' Choice Association puts on the Critics' Choice Awards, which we actually just had last Sunday. It's kind of like on par with Golden Globes, SAG Awards, Oscars, and so we have film and TV nominees. So that's been, I can't remember how many years Critics' Choice Association has been around. I've been a member for 10 years now. But last year in November, for the very first time ever, we put on the inaugural celebration of Asian Pacific cinema and television. So it was the very first Asian award show, where we honored actors, filmmakers behind some of the year's biggest TVs and movies with groundbreaking Asian performances. So Everything Everywhere All at Once, Turning Red, Pachinko, Squid Game. And I was lucky enough to be the co-programmer and writer of the show. So I was able to consult with the Critics' Choice to make sure that everything was aligned with the values and beliefs of the AAPI community, programming the show, deciding who we were going to honor, and then also writing the entire 3-hour show.
Like, how do you guys usually honor those people in the community? Like, because I know like every organization and foundations are usually different. Like, how do you guys usually choose the people to honor?
Well, since it was our inaugural year, based off of this experience, it was the first time. We had a small group and we reached out to the different movie studios, and we actually did our own research first, saying, okay, let's write one huge long list of every single Asian American actor who did a great performance this year, something noteworthy. And we compiled just a really big list. Then we went out to all the different movie studios and we said, here are our people, our list of people that we are interested in honoring. We asked them, like, do you want to support any of these actors or any of these films or TV shows that you guys have put out? And we were actually surprised that almost every movie studio was fully supportive. They all wanted to be involved. I think that we almost had every single major studio there represented. And yeah, then it was just like a 6-month process of making sure that whoever we honored could be there, and give a little speech. Then we had to find presenters that made sense to present the honorees. So we had celebrities, like when we did John Cho, we had Cal Penn present the award to John Cho. So it ended up being a really good night. We were so excited. We're doing it again this year. So come May, I'll probably start working on the second year.
Like, when is it? Do you know when it's going to be held, or is it still to be
In
announced?
November, yeah. So we did it November 4th of 2022 last year. So it'll probably also be beginning of November this year.
Is it going to be virtual or is it in person?
The first one that we did, we did it in person, but we didn't broadcast it. Whereas the Critics' Choice Awards are broadcasted on the CW. I think last year we did TBS TNT last year, but it was back to the CW this year. It was hosted by Chelsea Handler, so that show's really big. But we decided to keep it not broadcasted because we wanted the room to feel, we wanted everyone to feel like open to be able to say whatever they wanted to say and not feel restricted to keeping it like PG, for example, because it was on broadcast. And we wanted to really just like keep it all within like our little private community within that room. And that decision made it feel so special and intimate. But because it was like pretty successful, I wouldn't be surprised if this year or next year they do want to start broadcasting it. We did record the show and we are going to stream it on YouTube. We actually were going to push it live today, but after the events that happened in Monterey Park on Saturday night, we decided to hold off just because there's so much going on within the AAPI community right now that we just want to like show our support for the people who lost their lives at this time.
Like, that's like a really amazing what like your guys are doing with your work. Like, even like if it isn't broadcast, like you guys want to have the people there comfortable and had to have to say what they want to say instead of being held back because of a
Right, because it's a
like
celebration, right? So
yeah.
it's like we're celebrating at the end of the year these groundbreaking performances and work that these Asian American Pacific Islander artists have done. So it's really just about truly honoring them and not necessarily turning it into just like publicizing.
Like, what do you think like the biggest takeaways are from like doing the basically holding these award shows every single year? Like, what do you think the biggest kind of takeaways are instead of like with the whole community getting together?
I mean, the biggest takeaway from that show, I mean, that was the first year, but we also put on the Latino celebration and I think the Latino celebration, maybe they were in their second year, but we also do the Black cinema and television show that I think was their 5th or 6th year. So yeah, the biggest takeaway is just finally having representation. It wasn't hard to decide who to honor. Unfortunately, like sadly, it wasn't hard because there isn't that much representation in media and in entertainment. That's kind of the problem.
Yeah.
And like the takeaway is being able to come together and really show support. Whereas like all of these great Asian performances are often overlooked and maybe unseen at these big shows. So we have a specific show where it only honors all of these artists who maybe don't get recognized and don't get recognition for the amazing work that they've done. And so the biggest takeaway is just being able to provide this outlet to be able to celebrate that, but also push forward the initiative to like have more representation in media and entertainment.
Exactly. Like, I love that you said that because representation in media and entertainment is such a big thing since like the mid 1900s to today in our generation. Like, it's such a big thing, especially in Asian films. Like, it's such a big thing then in Hollywood. They usually not covering their films due to representation. Like, how do you think like a like Asian movies and all those things should be representation and all these things to like, what do you want to say to Hollywood, uh like the main exclusives that want to make a change for Asian people, and especially movies?
I'm sorry. Can you clarify again the question?
Yeah, sorry. Like it's so hard. Like it's so hard to explain what I'm like thinking about right now. Like it's hard to put it onto words. Like, what would you kind of like say to entertainment exclusives that kind of want to make a representation for Asian movies and all those things? Is probably the best way to put it.
I think I think I get what you're saying. I think that just I want them to know that it is time to have more representation because our world, our especially like our country, it's so diverse,
Mhm.
and young people, of whatever ethnicity they are, they want to feel represented on the
Mhm.
small screen and the big screen, and they want to see characters and heroes who look like them. And I think
Mhm.
now is the time that, especially now that we are having more amazing Black films and Asian films, and everything everywhere all at once, getting all of these nominations and winning Best Picture at Critics' Choice Awards. That's such a huge deal for us, and it
Mhm.
shows that it's not restricted to just Asian viewers. So many people love Everything Everywhere All at Once, and especially like back a few years ago with Crazy Rich Asians, I think that was like a good example of showing that, like, just because the whole cast is Asian doesn't mean that it's not going to be relevant
Mhm.
to everyone. It's not going to be universal. Like, it is
Mhm.
universal. And more people want this content and this type of entertainment.
Exactly. And like the final question like I have for you is like, what is some advice for kind of inspiring journalists or like actors that kind of want to make it out?
Okay, so yes, I actually have like a whole list because I've done quite a lot of these like interviews and stuff where I'm like, okay, I wish I had said this. So first off, with social media. So social media has played a huge part in the opportunities that I have received and where my career is today because, for example, prior to Yahoo, I was an anchor, the lead anchor of Complex
Mhm.
Hustle, which is under the Complex umbrella. I think most people know who Complex is on Instagram,
Mhm.
but basically, like, I've always just maintained a really authentic persona and like brand on my Instagram. Like, what you see really is who I am. Like, nothing about it is fake.
Mhm.
And initially, when I had screen tested for Complex Hustle, I didn't get the job initially. And it's so funny because the person who hired me, a month later, he reached out and he was like, we loved you. You're so great on camera, but we just couldn't tell who you actually were, like what your
Mhm.
personality was. And he's like, but we've been watching you on Instagram for the last month, and we think you're great for the Complex brand, and the
Mhm.
audience is going to love you. And I thought it was hilarious because I was like newly single. So I was like going out and like went off to Cabo with my best friend. And I was just like being like myself and just having so much fun. And
Mhm.
that's what ended up getting me the job at Complex, which then like got me the experience of hosting, writing, producing, which then led to a year later, Yahoo taking me from Complex to become a host, producer, writer there. And then at Yahoo, like so many of my higher ups based in New York were always watching my Instagram and being like, oh my God, you're like, your style is amazing. We want you to host this fashion show. We want to send you to Coachella. So basically like Instagram and or TikTok now, like there's such good platforms to
Mhm.
launch your career. Like you basically can just like skip the middleman and start your own career without waiting for a company to hire you because you can just
Mhm.
start putting out great content. It's also an easy way to network, obviously. And then my advice for like once you are in the workplace with your job, just always stay positive, work really hard, stay humble. I remember when I was at Complex, I was very much like a yes girl. Like I
Mhm,
never said no to everything. It was like whenever they said, will you go do this? Can you do this? Can you write 3 stories by the end of the day? No matter what, even if I didn't want to do it, or even if it seemed impossible, I always said yes. And I always made it
mhm,
happen. And they used to always tell me, like, we love the fact that you always say yes to everything and that you're so positive. Like, I never ever was like negative, because at the time I would like, obviously I like still, I was so grateful for having the
mhm.
opportunity that like I genuinely just was so happy.
Yeah.
And that ended up helping me later when I was getting hired at Network, which is where I currently work now, because it was the team that had hired me at Complex, and they had remembered how great it was working with me, because I always had a positive attitude, because I was always
Mhm,
such like the hardest worker. So always be positive, because it just creates this like really memorable reputation, because you don't know down the road who you might work with again, who might be hiring you. And just constantly goal set. I'm constantly setting goals for myself.
mhm.
Like I have a list in my phone on my notes of like all the things I still want to achieve. And like once I cross them out, I just create new goals. And yeah, just take every opportunity, stay humble, never think you're too good for anything, do
Mhm.
all the things.
Yeah, exactly, and I like what you said earlier about saying yes to everything, like, I'm
Mm.
literally the exact same way, like, every, like, podcast interviews I do, whether it's, like, anything, I say yes, whether it's related to my work, because, like, with these opportunities, like, you might not get these opportunities again, like, and, like, even if you're, like, not in the mood to do it, even if you're having a busy day and you're stressed, like, you say yes, and I said yes a million times even though I'm like, well, I'm too stressed about these things. I need to get these things done. This is a bad day. But
Yeah.
even though like if you are like being asked to do something, it might help you. Like it might help you get another job. It might help you like build yourself as a career, whatever you want to do. So like with you being saying yes, like it can be worth it in the end, no matter how stressful it is, right?
Yeah, especially for me, I don't know about you, but like for me, I love a challenge too. So even
Mhm.
if it is something that totally seems impossible, I still will like I'll figure out a way to do it. I'm pretty resourceful. And then at the end, I always feel so good because I'm like, I did it. And no one else
Mhm.
would have been able to like pull that off. So it does feel really good.
It does. It really does, right? Like it feels like the best feeling ever. Like you just like, oh my God, I would never get this done, but then you got it done. It's seriously like the best feeling.
Yeah. I have met like so many other TV hosts who don't have that mindset, and they like behind the scenes, like they will say to me like, like I would never, I don't want to have to like do this. Like they think they're too good now. And I'm just
Mhm,
like, that like hurts me because I'm
mhm,
like, why? Like, how do you feel that way? Like for me, like even though it's been 17 years of me being a reporter and hosting, I still feel like so grateful every single day. And I like still would just always take every opportunity.
exactly. And I want to like thank you so much for joining the podcast and taking your time. I know we've been trying to do this for a while. I'm so glad me and you were able
I
to
know
do
I'm
this. And just thank you so much for doing what you do. You're helping so many others. I'm so grateful for what you do. And just thank you so much for coming on and taking some time.
thank you. I'm so glad that we were able to do this too. I know we've been talking about this since like what mid 2022.
Yeah,
So
I
yes,
think yeah, I think that
finally.
seems right, Mitch
I
Bunker.
know I'm so
Yeah,
honored that you have been following my career. It makes me feel so good. And thank you for having me on your podcast. Anytime you want me back.
of course. Thank you so much. We'll definitely do another one soon, whether it's on like
Okay.
my Instagram series or another episode. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.